wanted to ask you about a little off-the-wall guy, but Ben Van Sumeren's a guy we haven't really talked about, but he looked like he was running around, making a lot of plays the other night. What have you seen from him the last few weeks, and how far has he come?
Yeah, he's come a good bit away. He's learned. He's kind of new to the position, and so he's done a great job. He's really taken all the coaching that Coach Elliott's given him, and then, the biggest thing that we wanted out of that game is for guys to go run and show their talents and try to keep our list down a little bit so they can go execute. And he did a good job for the most part there.
Yeah, execution from the sideline, bringing plays in the headset. And who were you relaying them to?
Yeah, you're talking about on game day?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was really smooth. I thought it was really smooth. And obviously in the preseason, you got so many guys that got to be ready because we were rotating a bunch of guys in. And so, it was one of the backers always. And again, Coach Elliott, Greg, our equipment manager, these guys all did a great job of cleaning that operation up. But, I thought it was a smooth operation. The guys heard the calls, they got the calls in, and they were able to echo them. So that was a good part.
Now that you've had Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham for a few practices and a game, how are they acclimating, and what have you noticed about them?
Yeah, I think they're still going through the acclimatization process. Like you said, what has it been, like 1 or 2 practices plus the game? So they're still getting their feet wet here, and they're doing good. You could tell that these guys are pros. They've been around the league, that they know some football. They've been around different defensive systems. So right now it's just their process of learning our stuff and our culture and our standards, and they've been doing a good job. They really embraced it, so it's nice to see.
As you figure out the pecking order there, how you're going to allocate playing time, what are you looking for? What will decide that?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of things that go into playing time, but really, we just want to get guys evaluations. So we're trying to get some balance there and try to get guys in different combinations, like I've talked about all through camp here, to see the best fits and all those things, and, making sure that we get good evaluations of everybody.
What do you think about Sidney Brown, how he performed, and how do you balance when you're teaching young safeties about aggressiveness versus over-aggressiveness, and how to
Yeah, I thought Sidney's done well. He's at a good camp, and he's continuing to grow and learn this defense, and that's really all these young guys, and really everybody. But it's a bigger learning curve for young guys, that come in, and so he's doing everything he can to learn and grow with that. And then in terms of their aggressiveness, that's the art of a coach. Sometimes their great traits can hurt us, but he hasn't done that. He's done a good job and just teaching the techniques that we want, and then you got to let these guys play. That's part of what got them here. So we want their traits to show the things that got them here.
Just with Miles Jack, he was saying how he was contemplating trade school, and how he was on scouts playing Call of Duty when he got the call. What did you know about him that made you confident that he would be a fit here and would be able to come in?
Well, obviously, for a while, I've studied his tape, coming out of college and evaluated him there, watched him play at his time in Jacksonville and in Pittsburgh, and then got to visit with him when he came and worked out. And so we felt good, and obviously Howie and the scouting staff do a tremendous job of helping us during this time here to keep advancing and keep information on these guys. And so that was really the process, and then you kind of go through it and you see how he works out, and he looked good there, and so we're fortunate that he's part of us right now.
This Browns offense schematically is different than what you see every day from you. What are you expecting to learn during these next 2 days?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one thing that we'll get a really good grasp of as a staff, as a team on defense is how strongly can we rely on our techniques and fundamentals? Because when it's this is great because it's like an unscouted opponent. You're not really preparing for them. You're still in training camp mode, but it's a different team, like you said, than the team that you've been facing for the last 3 weeks. So you get to really test out your rules, and see who's really mastering it. And I think that's what I'm most excited about.
At this time last year, the defenders were talking about seeing the under center looks in the play action that they do through. Is that something that you want to see from your group based on not being able to see it so far?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. That's all of that's a part of it. That's part of our techniques and fundamentals. That's kind of the stuff that we've been teaching and preaching since we've started installing this defense in the spring. And so, we walk through it. We do see it, but we just don't see it at this level at full speed. And get another team doing it, and they might have a different wrinkle than the guys have been seeing. So it's just relying on your training, and having good eyes, making sure your eyes are where they need to be, and if we're doing a good job teaching that, then they'll be all right.
Sean, we saw Eli Ricks make some plays, obviously. Two-part question, I guess. Number one, what have you seen from him these past few weeks? And number two, do any of the coaches need to chat with him about his enthusiasm after the play?
Yeah. He's kind of into that bucket of all these young guys. You know, like he just keeps trying to develop, and he's learning more every day. And there are things that we still need to clean up with this game. And I'm obviously really thrilled for him to have the play that he had in the game. That's a great opportunity for any young player, but even a young player like that to do that. But he knows that we still got to get back in the lab and keep working on a lot of the things that we need to work on. And then, sorry, just the second part there. What was the second part again?
You okay with?
Yeah. That's a young player who's really excited, and we talked about it. We talked about it on the field. No matter what, you can't sacrifice the goals of the team, and a 15-yard penalty there would have been really costly. And thankfully, he didn't get one. But it's a good learning experience for all of us to learn from.
Like in that backup nose spot.
Gosh, we're so focused on training the techniques. You know what I'm saying? So what that means is we've got a lot of guys, and you guys seen the combination of guys that we put out there, and so they're all learning those jobs. And I think Coach Rocker does a tremendous job of teaching those things and the combination of blocks that they can get. So we've got a really good depth in the D-line all over the place, and I think it's just a matter of now finding all the different combinations. So we got a few guys that will be in that are in that pool and will continue to stay there.
Do you feel like you have someone that wouldn't be a reach for them to play that aside from Jordan in terms of size, skill set?
Oh yeah, I think all of our guys can play it. I really do. I think all of our guys can play there, and that's the way we teach it. That we all learn the techniques and the fundamentals. I mean, if you're playing head up on a center, you're playing head up on a guard, or you're playing head up on a tackle, there's some head up combination blocks that you can get. And so Coach Rocker, like I said, does a tremendous job teaching the techniques that way, and so guys have some cross trainability there.
When you look at focused on techniques and fundamentals.
I tell you guys about raise your hands and stuff. Come on.
Techniques and fundamentals. At what point is there a demarcation line where, all right, we got to evaluate, that becomes more important?
From my end? Oh my gosh! I mean, it's constant, but that's part of our evaluation. Is who's mastering those techniques and fundamentals, because that's what's going to make the players great. That's what somebody asked that question of the aggressive. That's what's going to let their talent shine. Is when they can master those techniques and fundamentals. So we're never going to get away from that. That's an organizational benchmark, and we're all in on that. So that'll kind of be a part of that evaluation.
So
there you go.
When you look at Jalen Carter's 2 snaps, I mean, obviously he almost had the sack in the first one, and the second one, just like how he played, and also Noah Smith, getting their first action and everything.
Yeah, both of them played well. Like you said, Jalen's first snap, he had a good move and a good counter there. And Nolan similarly. We all got to remember, this is their first NFL game that all these guys have played, right? So there's a lot of emotions that go into that for these young men, and we want them to embrace those emotions, but then they got to learn how to manage those and play that. And it was a great opportunity for all of them, and they all did a lot of good things on the field. And where there's mistakes, that's why it's preseason. That's why we got time to correct some things and keep moving forward. And so Nolan falls in that same bucket. He did a good job there, and then he knows where he's got to keep improving.
So on linebacker and safety, is there a time frame for when you'd like to solidify those starting jobs just so you maximize practice time with those guys?
I mean, Patriots week is still 3 or 4 weeks away. That's the time frame. We don't need to make any decisions up until then, and we're going to keep finding the best combination and make sure our guys keep competing.
All the positives that can come from these joint practices. Where do you see the value in these next 2 days against the Rams?
Yeah, I think the joint practices are tremendous because it's right about that time in camp where you get tired of going against your own guys, and you get somebody asked a question about a different offensive scheme. You get to see yourself against different stuff and different players, different receivers, different O-linemen, different tight ends, guys that run their routes a little bit differently, and it becomes more real football-like, more game-like, and I think that's a really cool thing to do, and I think the fact that we do it is awesome.
Sean, at the end of last year,
Whoa.
Sean, at the end of last year, one of the things Hassan said was he wanted to take on more of a leadership role because he was new here last year, first year. Now that he's back on the field more on a consistent basis, are you doing that? Are you leaning more on him, or are you seeing more?
I think we're leaning on all the veterans, and then leadership comes naturally, and he's a guy that comes naturally too. And so we want all these guys to step into leadership roles and all these guys to have a voice on the team, and they can all do it differently. They don't have to be the loud guys. They can be the quiet guys. There's so many ways to lead, and he's doing a great job with his peers right now.
Relationship with Jim Schwartz, have you ever met him? What do you think of, obviously he's been around a long time, studied his scheme at all.
Yeah, I can't remember if I've met him. I don't think I have. If anything, it might have been like a handshake at the combine or something. I think he's a tremendous football coach. He's had a lot of good defense. We played against him a lot when I was in Chicago, and those guys were always playing physical and fast. And so I think he's a really good mind. And you're right. You know, there's a lot of good stuff to study from his schemes.
Nick said you guys are staying in contention with Noah during preseason. How much of your defense has been installed, and how much is still left to do at this point?
Like I said, I think I told you guys that a couple weeks ago. Like a couple weeks ago, what did I say? Maybe 80 to 85 or 90% was in. We're probably about 95 to 98%. I mean, there's always some situational calls and things like that you keep refining, but the defense has been in, and the guys know that. And now it's about mastering your techniques and fundamentals.
Hey, Sean, I don't know if you were asked this, but did you in fact get injured for the Browns shot?
I mean, I mean, yeah, it's out there, right? I mean, they put in a slip for me, but I'm so blessed to be here and have the opportunity here. So, and I thought the Browns organization was extremely professional and tremendous through that process.